The Soul of Sonic Stories by ALtheBoi. So, don't know necessarily what this is about. Not by the amount of Sonic games I've played has been very minimal. I've played Sonic Adventure 2, and I think I've seen two Battle specifically on the GameCube. But I haven't really delved into the series. So this is going to be rather interesting to watch.
So he comes up to me saying, "Yo, you gotta play this Sonic game." Then I look at it. It's
Donkey?
Sonic holding a sword. What? I mean, come on. What's
Got
the
him.
deal with these storybook games, huh?
They're weird, right? Conceptually, I mean, you read a book and then you say, okay, this shit is fire, but what did that Sonic in it though? There's a very specific space that Sonic occupies where it's weird, but not too weird. Like there's a 6-foot-tall crocodile with his ninja chameleon buddy who work as detectives. But he's also gotta pay rent. Let's not get crazy here.
Dawn, I forgot to pay the electric bill for the office.
And Sonic has always thrived on this weirdness. There's probably a real name for it, I don't know, but you don't gotta be a genius to see it. If any Sonic game goes too much into either direction, you notice it.
Yeah.
It feels a little off. I think the inherent vibe of whether something feels Sonic-y enough is derived from that specific, one-of-a-kind sense of wonder. From the worlds to the characters to the storytelling. But I'm getting ahead of myself. First, we gotta talk about Spider-Man.
Before we talk about Spider-Man, I mean, I've seen clips from, Sonic Boom. I mean, and I feel from what they presented, they struck a really good balance there, right? Like there was some witty humor, there was there were some cringe moments, don't get me wrong. But I mean, like some of the clips they did, the Knuckles feminist one was rent free in my brain. That one was hilarious. Like the delivery on that was perfect. I don't know. Like if you go in either direction, right? You go like hyper realistic and it doesn't quite match up. But if you go super like super dream state, like if you went like, I don't know, like Yoshi's Island or something like that with Sonic, it also doesn't quite mesh. So it kind of has its own this middle ground that it feels it does very well in.
So you know about the hero's journey, right? It's from this book called The Hero with a Thousand Faces by a dude named Joseph Campbell. He basically says that every tale follows and can only follow this very specific structure, the hero's journey. He also said that whoever likes and subscribes has some big fat nuts. Really ahead of his time, this guy. Anyway, that's kind of dumb because his initial framework was very strict and specific, but I also can't deny its prominence is fucking everywhere. There's a very high chance that your favorite story follows some kind of a hero's journey. It's just a pretty solid framework to use because essentially it's a more complicated 3-act structure, with the first act being the setup, where you get introduced to the characters, relationships, and the struggles, then boom. The inciting incident is what kicks everything off. Shit already hit the fan, bro. The status quo is gone. Nowhere.
Are we actually like going through and talking about literary analysis? Bro, I'm super into this. Like this stuff is right up my alley, right? Like when we talk about Final Fantasy 14 and throughout the entirety of my playthrough on, the gaming channel, where it's like, yeah, no, I know. Yeah, it makes complete sense who the Griffin is. Or, oh, this story beat just makes a lot of sense, especially if you have the metagame knowledge that Crystal Tower is now mandatory as a post-Endwalker. And it's like, it just makes a lot of sense, right? Like you don't need to reinvent the wheel. And that's why, like the hero's journey being a more complex three-act framework, right, makes a lot of sense because you don't need to reinvent the wheel. As it turns out, you can follow a framework, follow a structure, and just make a good story within the confines of it. You don't have to be this groundbreaking, new formula. You can just tell a good story.
Go, but Act 2. The confrontation is where you face the conflict directly and you fail over and over again. The theme just bashing you over the fucking head until it doesn't. By the time you're in Act 3, the resolution begins. And with one final climax, you're finished with your journey. And it's at this point that a lot of you are probably asking, Al, what the fuck does this have to do with Sonic? Well, that's the thing, it doesn't. Try this for a second. Pick your favorite Sonic game and try to apply this to it. I don't think you can, because the...
And not to Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. I couldn't with its mission structure. I mean, I guess I could, right? So if I had to give it an honest college try, right? Obviously, we're going to treat each of the stories a little differently. I mean, City Escape from Sonic, Call to Adventure. I mean, that would probably be him meeting Shadow, right? Like with Big Dog, and then seeing, Shadow the Hedgehog using chaos control, right? Refusal to call, something around maybe Prison Island or something like that. Maybe Knuckles. I don't know. Like, I mean, I could probably work through this, and I could probably actually try to fit this within the framework from the one game that I have played, right? It's not impossible, but you do have to make some stretches and concessions in a certain aspect. Seems to start mid-hero's journey, I guess, right? And it's like you can start in the middle of a story, right? And that's where modern Hollywood and modern stories all just have this this raging fascination with everything needs to be explored, and the consistent origin stories and stuff. So it's rather interesting to see it applied.
Because the principle of the hero's journey is a transformation from ordinary to special by gaining something or losing something else. And that's just not how Sonic stories work. Sonic doesn't make this journey. Heroes isn't about Sonic learning the value of friendship, it's about the value of friendship, and we learn it through Sonic. You can't have him learn it all over again, he already knows it. You can't teach him to slow down and smell the roses, he already does that. You see how every time they try to teach Sonic a lesson, it's a little forced? Teaching a lesson is absolutely fine, but using him as the conduit just won't work. It's the biggest pit you can fall into while you're writing Sonic. Understandably so, the hero's journey is so fucking ubiquitous. In fact, it's what a lot of adaptations do. They change Sonic's character for the journey to work. That's why getting mad at Archie or the movies for not being faithful is valid, but also kind of dumb, because they're so far removed. They're clearly not trying to be accurate adaptations or canon, unless they are. Allegedly, I don't know. It's free anyway. Focus. This is what we're talking about. Game Sonic. Focus. The backbone of the hero's journey is a philosophical idea that every person goes through one of their own, and these stories help guide us through it. That's why it's so important for a Spider-Man story to be so human. It's a direct reflection of the ups and downs any person goes through, rather than one who embodies some central static value or ideal.
I think that's what a lot of modern storytelling gets wrong too. I mean, you could watch Critical Drinker and some of his biases, right? The problem that you run into is when characters lack characterization and they become a conduit for a specific thing or a specific message, right? What are you? What are you as a character? Oh, well, I am strong female protagonist that just does everything great. Cool. What's your defining characteristic? What are your own personal struggles, right? If you do everything so well, maybe you have issues in regards to being social with people. Maybe there was some horrible inciting incident in your past. No, I'm just good at everything. Okay. Or on the flip side, right? What about a dude who is just the strongest dude, and no one can beat him because he is the strongest dude, right? He can just punch through mountains, right? What's the balancing point there? What's interesting about him? I don't know. He just punches through mountains. Sure. Okay. Does he have to show restraint? Maybe he goes and gets a cup of coffee. Maybe when he tries to get it, or he tries doing, more simple tasks, building models or something like that, and he ends up crushing the tools that he uses. What is interesting about him? Oh, dude just punches boulders, right? He just punches things. That's his whole thing, right? Pretty uninteresting, if I'm gonna be completely honest, right? It's about making your characters. You can also hate characters, right? Dr. Mercer from Dead Space, I hate in both the remake and the original. But I hate it's because he's written in a way that you want to hate him, right? It's good writing because he's written in a way where in Dead Space, the original, he's very fanatical, whereas in the remake, he's a little more reserved and conservative, and he kind of is this twisted doctor. Take a seat, Mr. Arthur, right? Where he tells Isaac to take a seat when he goes back to medical, right? You have and I'm not saying everyone has to have their big balancing points and stuff, right? But it's do you walk up to somebody and they're just a caricature? Maybe that's a bad representation. Let me backtrack on that. If you find a character like Luke Skywalker, right, and he didn't have any of the personal struggle, and he just showed up, and he, ended up fighting Vader on Endor, and then he ended up, threatening, maybe force choking some of the stormtroopers and the Imperial officers, and they went up and he just, beat Palpatine, no question, right? What are the stakes there? What's interesting about it? Why should you care about his journey, right? Did he grow as a character, or was he just a conduit to move the plot along, right? And I think that it's also, and he's touching on this as well, that there are a lot of universal themes. Like, sure, you have like the hero's journey, right? But like Sonic, you're learning friendship through Sonic. It's not that Sonic is, teaching you about friendship, right? Like universal themes of friendship and dealing with loss and relying on each other and bettering yourself, right? Like, and I'm sure there's plenty of things like in chat, Kim Possible versus live action Mulan. Sure, I mean, we honestly like. And that's the thing, right? Like, so I haven't seen the live action Mulan, right? I haven't seen it. I have zero interest in seeing it, negative interest, if you will. But it's one of those things where it's like, what speaks to you about the original Mulan? Sure, maybe some of the musical bits. I mean, Be a Man is an amazing musical number, right? But like, she had to deal with the pressure of, disguise, not being, matchmaker worthy and hearing that her father's gonna have to go off to war, and so she disguises herself and she has to put in the work to be able to compete with everyone else conscripted into the Chinese army. And then she grows herself, especially during the number of Be a Man, right? Where she, is able to overcome those obstacles. She's able to climb, wink, wink, up. She's able to climb to new heights. And it does make it, to where she can actually go and fight. Was it Attila the Hun? I don't remember. I know it's the Huns, right? I don't know if it's actually who it is specifically. It's been a while since I watched it. Like, but it's an interesting story where the way I understand it is, I guess she was born with chi or ki or whatever, and that just makes her super just naturally predisposed to doing things in the live action. And it's like, bro, what's the fun in that? You can have a simplistic character too. Xenos from Final Fantasy 14. What's the dude? Dude doesn't understand people. Dude just wants to aggressively combat at people and test his reflexes, right? But what do they do with him, right? They have... the interaction in Endwalker between him and Alizé, where he even repeats Alizé's words when he goes back to Gurabanya, right? And he clearly can reflect on that, and he's supposed to be a foil for Medion at the end, for the end singer, right? Where they both have their nihilistic views on reality, but Xenos, instead of kind of just leaving everything to the Song of Destruction, right, or whatever it's called, like actively attempts to help give people a fighting chance, right? So he ends up being more than the sum of his parts. It's what you do with the story, and especially if you reinforce it with universal themes. And I think a lot of media has forgotten that.
Or any other Spider-Man embraces his humanity. All the shit he goes through is what makes him grow. It's what makes us grow.
Probably not you specifically. I think it's a metaphor.
To cut it short, you're not supposed to find Sonic relatable. Not on a personal level, anyway.
That's fine.
Sonic is flawed. Sure, he's still a person, one who you can relate to. Everyone loves a chili dog, right? But the main appeal of his character isn't whether you can fit in his shoes or not. You like Peter because you relate to his struggles, and seeing him overcome them inspires you to do the same. Sonic inspires you by existing.
Now, when I was 15 years old, I had a very important person in my life come to me and say, "Who's your hero?" And I said, "It's me in 10 years."
Yeah.
So I turned 25 10 years later. That same person comes to me and goes, "So are you a hero?" And I was like, "Not even close." She said, "Why?" I said, "Because my hero is me at 35. So you see, every day, every week, every month, and every year of my life, my hero's always 10 years away. I'm never gonna be my hero. I'm not gonna attain that. I know I'm not. And that's just fine with me because that keeps me with somebody to keep on chasing."
Yeah, I mean, it makes a lot of sense.
So, you know how to write Sonic. Great. You're already ahead, buddy. Put him in a story then. Yeah, motherfucker, you do it then if it's so easy. What's the plot, huh? You do it. Sonic is versatile as fuck. You can put him anywhere. Literally anywhere. When Naoto Oshima calls Sonic a fairy, he's not being cute and gay. I can say that.
Hold up.
Doesn't matter where or when or how big or small the problem is, Sonic will show up when you need him. That random moment of confidence, a stroke of brilliance, a shining ray of hope. A fairy.
I can see that. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense,
Pretty awesome
actually.
when you start seeing this. It's exactly what some of my favorite stories do. It's why Sonic's supporting cast and random one-off companions are so important, because they're really the ones taking the spotlight. Silver's story is about Silver, Shadow's about Shadow, but Sonic's is about Elise. The story is about whoever Sonic's with, and through him, the companion is inspired to do whatever they need to do for the story, you know, whatever the theme is. This is where you just empty out all the development and the character arcs you want, but remember, Sonic himself doesn't change. A character arc happens because the way a character exists initially is challenged. Their core convictions fail them, making it so they have to experience change. Now,
this almost sounds like he's supposed to be that guiding light. Sonic is equatable less to Link and more to Navi or Tattle, right? Like if we're talking like Zelda, right? Like he's more equatable to the guiding partner character who's able to guide, you know, other characters throughout the story, right? Whether that's, hey, listen, you know, Tattle telling you, you know, how to hit, like, you know, I don't know, like Baronade when its shields go down or whatever, right? The jellyfish and Jabba Jabba, right? Or whether it's Tattle telling you about, Got and being able to hit it in certain ways, right? Like, I think also it really. It does hit that friendship perspective really well, because at that point, while I say, you know, Sonic is more of a guide character, it's also that Sonic is also actively doing, right? Like the ending of towards the ending of Sonic Adventure 2 battle with you know, when they're on Ark, right? You know, and Tails let slip that, you know, how do you know it was a fake airboat? It's like, because you just told me, Fox Boy. And, you know, Sonic is able to, you know, take what is it? He takes the fake emerald and then he's jettisoned out and he's like, Tails, I'm counting on you, right? And then he ends up chaos controlling and coming back, right? That's where the fairy, kind of guidance character comes to play. He will be there when you need him, right? I think this actually feeds in really well. And honestly, I didn't know any of this before this video. So this is recontextualizing information very well.
do they have to change? Not necessarily. A character arc doesn't have to be an arc like this, it can be like this. But none of this shit even matters when you're talking about Sonic, because his convictions are never challenged in the first place. That's what being static means. It doesn't mean he's flawless, it means when you're dealing with a super complex character like Shadow, there's a lot of drama you can get out of his mindset and conviction, even if he sticks to them. With Sonic, he doesn't even give a fuck. Forget changing. This motherfucker is never even tempted because his convictions are what drive the story forward, not the other way around. He is the one who inspires change. We literally have so many characters for that specific reason. But I'm sorry, okay? I'm being anal about this. I apologize. I'm just saying.
I think it's fair.
It's really important to keep in mind that Sonic isn't serialized. I know we like to pretend that there's this grand overarching story with an intricate timeline and world building where fucking everything connects. I'm like, no, man, come on. Be serious. Serialized implies that there's some kind of ending or conclusion we're moving towards, right? Like Avatar or Gravity Falls, where a story definitively ends. And Sonic just isn't this. We're gonna get.
I am going to agree. I think this editing style is honestly peak. Like, I looked beforehand. So this has like 183,000 views, and like, dude has like 42,000 subs. This is criminal. This is wild to me. This is high quality editing.
It's Sonic games until he stops making money, or the movies take over, which is equally as bad. I think it's beautiful when I finish a Sonic game and turn off the TV. These characters, these worlds, they don't stop existing. They live on without me. And the next time I come back, they're right there with a new adventure, new twist, and new ways to utilize these characters that I come back for. That's the basis of episodic storytelling.
I feel that a lazy modern writer would definitely make this, because this is set up for multiverse, right? And I mean, like, I don't know. I don't know too much about it. I think there's a more recent Sonic animated series that gets into multiverse logic and stuff. And I mean, I hear that there is a continuity throughout it, right? Like, obviously, you know, Space Colony Arc and Sonic Adventure 2, blows up like half the moon. You can kind of see the moon in different games and stuff. Like, there is a continuity, even if it's a loose continuity. And it's just honestly rather fascinating. Sonic Prime, I believe, yeah, that sounds about right. It's honestly rather fascinating just to see, like, cool, now we're here. I think it harkens back to a time when things could be episodic, right? Like, and I had Critical Drinker, was watching him explain it in one of his videos about Star Trek, right? Where, you know, everyone is after this big overarching continuity. I think they're chasing the Game of Thrones money, right? Still, years later, right? And it's like, back in ye oldie days, you had a revolving cast of characters, and sure, there was maybe a plot thread that went throughout the season, maybe in the intro, and then, at the end of the, last couple episodes, you had a big reveal and, story arc happening, right? But, like, you could just show up and, like, what is Captain Picard and Riker and the rest of the Enterprise crew up to, right? Like, that's just one example. I mean, I'm sure you could, list a number of TV series that do that. And now it's all about multiverses. And I agree with a lot of Critical Drinkers' insights into it being a tool for lazy writing. I think I agree with that. You can have a multiverse and do it well, but how many people use it as a cop-out, right? Like... And I think we're honestly past the era of things being episodic, and I think it makes me a little sad, right? Because this really feels like it's kind of retained a lot of its identity, just looking at this from the outside perspective, right? In a world where it's all about, serialization and different continuities, multiverses, parallel plot thread. I don't know. It's interesting. It's interesting to look at this and compare and contrast to media we're getting, right? And I mean, I guess you could argue Mario's still kind of the same, right? Like, we got Super Mario Odyssey. Did we get a new one? I don't think we did. I think Odyssey at this time is still the last one, right? I mean, there was a time when we got, like, back relatively more back-to-back, Mario 64, which I still have yet to play, Mario Sunshine, which I loved, Mario Galaxy, which I 100%ed with my sister, Galaxy 2, which I never actually ended up playing. And like, there's still Mario titles that come out, right? But not as frequently. And like, they're still kind of their own self-contained things. I don't know. I think it's the last mainline Mario game. And I know Sonic gets its re-releases too. So I think they're actually really interesting to compare and contrast. I think they're very similar in that, like, they're kind of their own thing. I don't think it's necessarily fair to compare like Sonic to Zelda, right? Especially because we have Hyrule Historia and, linking timelines together and stuff, right? Where before, I mean, there was definitely hints and links and stuff, pun intended, but like, I don't think it was as widespread in regards to a confirmed timeline, right?
Like, if someone asks you,
Hey man, I really want to get into Sonic. Where should I start?
you don't tell them to play them in order. Like, they can, but fucking, they're not gonna miss anything. Like, they put up Sonic 3, like,
Yo, what the fuck? Who's that? Who?
unless it's explicitly a follow-up. Episodic stories give you everything you need to know at the start.
Who the fuck is that?
Dude, it's Marceline, the vampire queen.
Oh, thanks, man.
It's why it's so important for everyone to always be in character, because at any moment, some kid can stumble onto Sonic, get a wrong impression, go on the internet and start fighting with some fucking nerd like me. Now I gotta deal with this shit. Adventure Time, Lupin, Seinfeld, Bebop, SpongeBob. It doesn't matter what episode you jump in. An episodic series doesn't rely on its continuity. Now, obviously, we have story arcs over multiple episodes, or the fact that you just get more enjoyment out of being a fan. But
I should have just let him explain it.
for the most part, every story stands on its own.
As I said, I think that warps in modern media, where a lot of series are trying to chase the overarching Game of Thrones, overarching plot point, building its own universe, and like, I don't know, it feels a lot more corporate.
Hey, long time no see. How you been? Oh, me? I'm still me. Enough chit chat. We'll catch up on the way. Come on, let's get this party started.
God fucking damn, bro, we're here. Finally, I gotta talk about what I think is the perfect structure for a Sonic story. Kisho Tenketsu is described as this mysterious, superior method of storytelling from the East. The structure with no conflict used in literature, such as rent a girlfriend. I'll give you my explanation because I don't think any of this shit is helpful. To put it simply, Kisho Tenketsu is the art of the 4-panel comic. Beginning, development, twist, conclusion. That's
okay, makes sense.
It's not some mythical fucking Eastern way of living. It's a simple rhetorical device they used in poems in ancient China. And since then, we've been using it in comics, movies, and even game design. It's literally how they make Mario games. You get a power-up, you learn how it works, then there's a twist, and you finish the level with it. It's amazing how intuitive it is. So you can imagine how fun it would be to write a story using this as a structure. So, how? You don't need a guidebook for this intro. Just drop me into the world. Whatever's going on, it doesn't matter. It's especially easy with Sonic since most of the time it's his perspective and he's really charming and cool. There's always something to chew on with any conflict that he faces. And yes, there is conflict, obviously. Sonic still has battle shown in DNA. Most of the shit is conflict. It's just that the conflict doesn't drive the story. The planet breaks in Unleash and that's a conflict Sonic deals with, but that's just the plot. It's not what the story is about. So the game doesn't treat it as this big emotional thing. Instead, it shifts its focus to Chip and his story because he is the emotional anchor of this whole thing. Me wanting to explore the themes completely hinges on me being invested in whatever setting you put me in. So first impressions, vibes, tone, intrigue, it's really important for the opening scene to be impactful, emotionally or otherwise. Because what follows key is where most of the story happens, and it is not exciting at all. It just consists of you taking in the world, using whatever the plot is to explore both the setting and the characters. It's one of the reasons why Sonic X is really fucking boring, because as a show, it can afford to take its time before everything goes crazy. But almost the entirety of season 1 is a slice of life anime. You know,
I've seen bits and pieces of it. I've never actually watched the full thing. I would love to at some point.
well, every story technically is. It's just that Sonic's life is really exciting. You know how they say Ghibli movies don't have plots? Like nothing happens?
Yeah, Totoro sucks. I think that's boring as shit.
Not my goat! Not my goat! I really think if you're actively looking for the thing to happen, you're not gonna see it, because this is it.
I think that that's a good point to grow across. I mean, it's one of those things where, like, I'm having to think back to, like, Ponyo. I mean, Ponyo had a plot, though, right? Howl's Moving Castle, Spirited Away. I mean, like, there's plot. Like, yeah, there's progression in there. I would have to see... I would have to see the full context. I would fundamentally disagree that there's no plot. I mean, I think that's obviously hyperbolic, right? But like plots can be different, right? Like you can follow the same narrative structure: inciting incident, rising action, climax, falling action, conclusion, right? Like you could follow that same structure and have it apply to a shonen, or you could have it apply it to a rom-com, or you could have it apply to insert your genre here, right? Like you can still get the basic story beats out of it. You can still understand what the setup is. You can still understand, being able to kind of ingratiate yourself with the world, the twist in the end, right? The story has a beginning, a middle, and an end. So, without knowing the full context on principle, I mean, I personally disagree. Any story is going to have a plot. I mean, and even then, you can have multiple rising actions and falling actions. So you can have inciting incident, rising action, climax, falling action, rising action, climax, falling action, rising action, climax, falling action, resolution, right? Like you could have multiple in a story. Just because you have the funny graph doesn't necessarily mean you can't work with the funny graph, right? It's what you do with your story, right? So I don't know. Like there's a lot that I could say there. I think he's absolutely on the money though.
Is it
I don't know
boring?
how
Maybe, but before I know it, oh shit, I'm crying over trees again. What? This is terrible writing advice, but it really is just vibes and feelings and shit. Everything goes as you'd expect. Nothing even really changes. You just spend time in this world as it is and was before you got here.
Yeah.
My favorite episode of Sonic X is about Sonic bitching a meeting with the president so he can take his friend to this island she really wants to see, but can't. That's the whole episode. And it ends with Sonic watching as her father decides to make more time for her. Like a guardian angel. Right when you need him the most. Essentially, it's 06. Another story where nothing happens. Thematically speaking, it's about Sonic helping this girl with a burden bestowed upon her, all the while moving through this much more exciting plot, because 06 is not about Netflix, it's not about time travel or the world ending. It's about Elise learning to let go, to not be a slave to her responsibilities as a princess, and to be free.
Bro, I need to play this game. Like I know what Ego Raptor, Aaron notoriously hates this game. And I know that it notoriously has awful performance. I need to play this game at some point. I have to understand, like, the game. I have to ingratiate with it.
That freedom, that's Sonic. he's the literal personification of the theme, as he often is. It's admittedly very fucking funny how different Sonic's story is from Shadow and Silver, because it focuses on this one girl's personal struggles where all the cool shit's going on in the background, but in essence, that's the point. The better half of the story is spent on making you invested in these characters, laying the groundwork for what's to come.
Was that the
Ten is what we remember Sonic stories by. Think of Metal Sonic and Heroes, Gerald's plan being revealed in SA2. Something that shakes up the narrative to the point where everything before it just seems pointless. But it's not. Because the whole point of 10 is to test your emotional connection to the characters by turning everything you know upside down. The harmony you established, every foreshadowing, every bomb you planted and showed blows up. And not necessarily in the form of a plot twist. It can be as simple as revealing something that puts everything you went through to a new perspective. That's why I don't like calling it a twist. I prefer chaos.
All bark and no bite.
Sonic Adventure's whole marketing revolves around this one sequence, and it doesn't even happen until after every campaign is already finished. Like, you see the fucking credits roll, and then the game hits you in the head with the biggest thing it has to offer. The very fact that there's even a story after the credits roll is kind of a twist. You notice how a lot of Sonic games end more than once? It's the whole thing with the final story. You're finished with your little ALtheBoi tournament.
Fucking aliens.
You thought you beat Eggman's evil plan. That's sweet.
Execution via firing squad.
Fuck it, we killed Sonic. Now generational trauma has manifested itself in the form of a sun god. Attack on Titan has like 6 cities. You spend an entire campaign basically vibing, then shit hits the fan. The funny thing is, foreshadowing isn't even necessary. It can be some dumb shit, and if you're good enough, the audience just rolls with it because it's fun and cool.
What was the game? Oh, it was a good PS2 horror game. I think FrontSoft made it. PS2. Was it Kuon? I think it was Kuon. I think if I remember correctly, it was something along the lines of, I think it was Kuon. Something along the lines of you had like your 2 different paths, and then you ended up like going down that third path at the end, right? I wonder if this is, if this is more traditional Japanese storytelling, like how anime draws from kabuki theater, right? I mean, can you can you imagine if a movie did this, right? I feel a movie could do it in a certain way. I think it'd be very interesting to watch if a movie ended up, I don't think you could necessarily do it as like 2 films and then leading into like a 3rd film, right? But like in a same movie, just have, the duality of both characters, establish them, maybe they're, on opposite sides of a city or something like that. And then once both their plot lines are over, maybe there's like a spark or a flash or something like that, which kind of calls them into that finale. I actually really like the final act. I thought it was really cool. And I wonder why we don't see it more.
You can write this part first and then work backwards to make it airtight. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah, I mean,
it was the aftermath of the twist and how the characters deal with it. Now, it doesn't have to be some big ass climax. The thing is, this is Sonic the Hedgehog, baby. Don't forget the heart though, okay? Underneath all this cool shit is a deconstruction of our themes, just like any good shonen. Sonic Adventure wouldn't hit nearly as hard if we didn't actually witness why Chaos was so pissed off in the first place. A lot of these bittersweet resolutions work because of how well their setup and subversions were. It's why even though Shadow came back, his death still hits, because the game is dedicated to show him off as much as possible before resolving it with him. Now compare him to like Sage, who the game just expects you to have an emotional attachment to just because she's cool, and then she dies. And I'm like, damn, bro, I barely know this kid. It's like going to a random guy's funeral. Like, is it sad? Fuck, I guess. Going back to the storybooks, different approaches, both are still bittersweet. Secret Rings barely has an ending, and it's fucking sick. I keep going back to these games because they're the most literal presentation of a Sonic story, because he literally falls out of the fucking sky into this pre-existing conflict. He is the inciting incident. The plot doesn't happen to him, he happens to it.
Yeah, it's a good twist.
The legendary blue hedgehog, having saved the world of the Arabian Nights, ran endlessly until he found his way back into his own world. Along the way, he had many adventures. But those are stories for another time.
Yeah, we beat the bad guy, but we still have shit to deal with. Not everything is fixed like that. And that's
Good
okay.
at it. I like that.
We tried our best, and that's all that matters. This world will go on even after we stop watching, just like how it existed before we came into it. It's that realism I talked about again. Because you don't often get closure for things, but you know it's gonna be okay. You've done it before. What's another challenge? Don't worry about it. You've lived so far, right?
I think it's really interesting because, like, yeah, like you not everything necessarily needs closure, and I think that's we've talked about, you know, Terminus Decree in 40K. We've talked about people trying to go back and either retcon stuff or try to go back to origin stories and explain stuff, and I think that part of it is, yeah, there's a sentiment that, oh, well, it's because people haven't had to use their imaginations, you know, and things like that, and I guess that is a viewpoint you can come from. It's interesting when a game allows itself, or a story in general allows itself to be left a little ambiguous, right? What was the movie? Shutter Island. Did the dude recall his past memories or not? The ending was ambiguous, last I understood it. I watched it years and years ago, right? Dark Souls, pretty ambiguous, right? Regardless of whatever ending you get, right? We're talking one specifically, right? I mean, yeah, the others, yeah, I assume, yeah. But like, I'm using one here as an example, right? Cool. You relight the first flame using yourself. Is that good? Is it bad? Especially all now, you know about the Way of White and Gwyn and, you know, a couple other things. Is it good? Is it bad? It's pretty ambiguous. What if you let the first flame go out? Especially when you get to the DLC and you see how, well, you saw what do Londo in the main story, right? But then you see Ulasil, right? And how it fell to the abyss and Manus, and you see Artorias and all the denizens, the citizens of Ulasil, right? So is that necessarily the correct choice? What if you let, I've never been able to get the ending. What if you let Sunbro light himself in the first flame, right? Is that necessarily the right thing? Especially when he just wanted to engage in jolly cooperation, right? I think it's really interesting when stories are left ambiguous, and I think the fact that it lets us use our imaginations and draw our own conclusions is very brave nowadays, and I think that a lot of stories aren't confident enough or comfortable enough being able to do that. So I like things like this, and like people were saying, Sonic 06 is an experience of all time. I don't know, looking at stuff like this and recontextualizing information, hearing why people are passionate about it and hearing their reasonings, that's the part of my job that I like. That's the part of reacting to things and hearing different people's perspectives that I like. Not necessarily a fan of, like, you know, arguments and discord. You know, just I'm a fan of discourse, not discord, if that makes sense. And it's really cool to see why people are passionate about things like this, especially in things I might not be familiar with. But thank you everyone for watching. I really appreciate it. I don't know how I stretched this out to almost 40 minutes. Tried to keep my tangents down a little bit on this one, but there was a lot in this. And honestly, it makes me kind of happy, kind of excited to go back and play some Sonic games. But thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it. Definitely go check out the original channel. Oh my god, this was good. The editing on this was fantastic, and it blows my mind that this doesn't have, you know, like a million views. Like this is good content. And I will see you all in the next one.